Hello, so I'm currently doing my master's in water security and international development at the University of East Anglia, and one of my course mates' flatmates is like really convinced that what we do all day in lecture is run around a pool with water guns. Not true, although that would be fun, I'll grant you. But no, I'm not getting my master's in water polo or something like that. Although once our course did together paddle down a river and go to a pub in kayaks. That was kind of fun. But that's not also exactly what water security is, necessarily. So what the heck is it? Finally, the question my mom's been asking for ages. Here we go. This one's for Kendall. I'm Rebecca Farnum. This is Ramblings with Rebecca. And let's figure out water security. Water security is one of those concepts that's really hard to define and defined in different ways by different people, and everyone kind of claims it for their own and uses it to mean what they want it to mean. It's getting a lot of attention, particularly in international organizations like the World Bank and the United Nations, but then also a lot of traction in academic literature and research and that kind of thing. But every organization kind of develops their own definition, and it's, you know, one of those things that's really useful because it can bridge things, but perhaps not super helpful because no one means exactly the same thing, so we all are talking about the same thing, but not really. So today we're going to go through some of the main definitions, talk about kind of some of the pillars of water security, if you will, and then I'm going to further make things muddy by suggesting my own definition and talking a little bit about why it is relevant to moi. So, writing for the World Bank in 2004, Claudia Sadoff referred to water security as the availability of an acceptable quantity and quality of water for health, livelihoods, ecosystems, and production, coupled with an acceptable level of water-related risks to people, environments, and economies. Lots of things going on there. Firstly, the availability piece, right? So water security is about having water, but not just having water, the right kind of quantity and the right kind of quality. So you need a certain amount, but you also need it to not be infested with, you know, pesticides and parasites and those kinds of things. But then not just about availability, also about avoiding risks and possible harms. So this is things like floods and tsunamis. Water can cause damage, and the presence of water can be just as dangerous as the absence of water in some situations. So getting away then from the issue of availability versus risk, there's also then the question of actors and stakeholders, like who all is water security talking about? So this definition kind of gets at all of the scales, right, looking at people and health and livelihoods in particular, but then also ecosystems and the environment and the world as a whole. So can an earthworm be water secure or water insecure, and do we care about that? Can a forest as a whole, you know, is there a concept of water security for the forest? And then, of course, they also mention things like production and the economy. So water is also relevant in manufacturing and production, and water security matters there. A shorter definition, and therefore one that can be easier to remember, but then of course, you know, is perhaps even less specific. Gray and Garrick in 2012 call water security a tolerable level of water-related risk at any scale and for any actor. So now anybody and everything gets to claim some kind of water security issue at any level. So people and earthworms and the cell in my left pinky all the way up to the universe as a whole, I guess. And then there's this huge question of what the heck is tolerable risk and who the heck gets to define when something is tolerable. I certainly don't want to tell someone else when their risk is tolerable. It's okay to be thirsty 3 out of 24 hours a day. I don't know, it's just blurry lines that, you know, aren't easy to figure out. I'm running out of time. My definition would be water security is an essentially contested concept, so one that everyone uses differently and isn't easy to define, but is easier to get at in its absence, so water insecurity is easier to point to than water security. However, water security can be said to exist when humans and ecosystems are free from water-related harms. Something that's very much not really going to happen, but we can work for it, and is really related to food, and we're going to do that tomorrow.